Okay. So in plane stress, what happens is we had sigma x and sigma y times coming only for in the principal plane direction. Tau xy will be 0. But for the same case in the plane strain, as per the definition, we will have the normal strains epsilon x and epsilon y, and gamma xy will be 0 there. Oh, just a second, give me. Okay, there is. Just give me a second. Setting up here. Okay. So an element in a plane stress that is oriented to the principal directions of the stress has no shear stress acting on the faces. So what does that mean? Like there will be for a plane stress element, there will be sigma x and sigma y value, and the tau xy will be 0. So if there is no shear stress, what does that mean? It implies basically the shear strain also will be 0. Gamma xy will be 0. So now come back to the original definition for a plane strain element in a principal plane. Then in plane strain element, if gamma xy is 0 and there is only epsilon x and epsilon y, that is again a principal plane for plane strain element. So that's why I said at a given point the principal strains and principal stresses occur in the same directions. Okay.
Sir, the screen is not visible.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought it was visible.
It's visible, sir.
Yeah, it's visible, right? Yeah. Okay.
The PPT is not visible.
But for some people it is visible. Can you check?
Yes, sir. PPT is visible, sir.
Yeah. So today we will start with the next module, the shear force and bending moment diagram. So this is the basic concepts which you need in your lifetime. Like anyway, when you are going to design any structure, before in the design phase itself, you will be asked to find what will be the maximum stress there. Just like we have studied about the principal stresses, the same thing is applicable here. So first we need to find what is the shear force and what is the maximum bending moment the material can sustain. Then only we will design the material. So we will start. So in the first class we have studied about an axial bar. So what is mean by an ax? We know what is an axial bar, right? A bar which is subjected to an axial deformation, or the force is along the longitudinal axis. There are two axes, longitudinal and lateral axis. So the force, if the force is along the longitudinal axis, then such type of structural members we say they are bar, and we say that these bars are subjected to axial load. Now we are going to deal with the beams. So technically a beam will have one dimension much larger than two other dimensions. Like the length of this structural member will be much large compared to the other two members, like the width and the height depth. But basic definition for a beam, we can see that beams are structural members subjected to lateral loads. So what do you mean by these lateral loads? That is the forces or moments having their vectors perpendicular to the longitudinal axis. So it can be along the vectors, moment can be along the z direction also. The forces can be along y direction, but it should be perpendicular to the longitudinal axis. For example, here if we consider this is x-axis our longitudinal axis, y-axis and z-axis are our lateral dimensions. So whatever forces or the moments which we are applying, for example, here there is a vertical force, this one, there is a distributed load and there is a moment. So this should be perpendicular to the longitudinal axis. So these two are this is an example for a simply supported beam. I will tell in detail. By the way, do you know have you studied about what are the supports, different types of supports, different types of loading in your first year? Someone can respond, right? Have you?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sir, we studied, but that was not in detail. So it's better if you explain it here also.
Okay. Okay, I have made presentation. Okay, I thought you have studied, so but still, okay, I can explain that part. Anyway, okay, I will come to this simply supported and cantilever in the next slide. But just understand that, okay, this is a simply supported beam. This is a cantilever beam. Anyway, just leave it for now. Anyway, these are some examples of a beam. Okay. So these applied loads, the externally applied loads on this beam make every cross section of the beam to face some bending and shearing. So if we take any cross section, this cross section will be like a rectangular shape or maybe like a circular in cross section also. But at every cross section will be subjected to some sort of a bending effect as well as shearing effect because of the externally applied load. Even So what happens? These loads will get transferred to the supports. These are our supports. And in these supports, some reactions are developed. The system of forces consisting of these applied loads and the reaction keep the beam in equilibrium. Because finally the beam has to be in equilibrium. Otherwise, the system will not be stable. So again, I said the applied loads makes every cross section of the beam to face bending and shearing. And we are in this module, what we are trying to do here is we will figure out what is the maximum shear force, what is the maximum bending moment developed. For example, in the previous slide, the shear force as well as bending moment developed will vary across the cross section. For example, like for a simply supported beam, the bending moment will be maximum at the midpoint. So we should design the beam to satisfy the maximum bending moment. And similarly, there are some points in the beam where the maximum happens. So when we draw a shear force diagram or a bending moment diagram, we are trying to plot the variation of the shear force or bending moment with respect to the x-axis, and we can find where are the maximum or minimum is coming. And these maximum values and the minimum values, these are maximum values. These are the quantities of interest for us, for a structural engineer, and these are required for the design of any beam. So basically a shear force diagram is one which shows the variation of the shear force along the length of the beam. Like we will try to plot a x versus shear force graph. So that gives where x denotes the longitudinal axis. Similarly, we will try to plot a bending moment diagram. Maybe suppose a bending moment diagram is like this and we say that okay, at the center it is maximum. So it gives some sort of information to us. So we will study in detail that. Okay, these are the ones which you have, I thought you have studied in your last year, but anyway. So the reactions depends upon the type of supports and type of loading which we are given. We will deal with some basic types of supports. So in your structural engineering classes, you will be encountered with these three types of support. One is pin support, roller support, and fixed support. But the list is actually not limited up to 3. There are many other supports also, but mainly we will be dealing with these 3 supports. So what is a pin support? Have you seen this type of a figure in your class? This one. Has anyone remember, like, have any one of you have seen this type of thing? Or like
Yes, sir.
this one? Then maybe like okay, the first one is called the pin support. This is a schematic representation for a pin support. The second one is the actually the fixed support, the third one, and this one. This figure, it corresponds to the roller support. So the pin support actually restrict the translation in both the directions. For example, like okay, what does that mean? The pin support. For example, like if you have a pin support here, then okay, you have a beam here which is shown in the red line, and you have a pin support attached at this point. This pin support restricts the moment about this point in both x and y direction, but at the same time it allows a rotation. For example, like you can rotate this beam like this, but at the same time it will not allow a elongation or deformation, elongation in x direction or vertical direction. In this one, the fixed support quantities like supports, it will prevent the translation in x direction and y direction, and at the same time it will also prevent the rotation also. This one called the roller support. This one, what happens to this type of a support is like it will allow translation in x direction. And also allow rotation, but in y direction, okay, allow translation, I should write clearly, but in y direction the translation is not allowed. Okay, I have written it here. So coming back to this figure again, so what does this mean? That if a translation or any type of a motion is prevented, how a support can prevent it? A support can prevent any type of a movement like a translation or rotation by creating a opposite reaction at that point. Suppose if I say that, consider the roller support again here. I draw a figure saying that okay, there is a roller support. Okay, what this is not the final end. There is a this is continuing actually. This is not a full beam. This is just continuing beam. So I have a roller support here. As I said, it allows translation in x direction, and it that this movement it is allowed. But at the same time, in the vertical direction, there is something which prevents it. So what is that something? That something is actually a force developed there, or internal force developed at the support. We call it as reaction developed at the support. So for a roller support, we will have a reaction like this. We call maybe okay. Yeah. So come back to pin support again. In pin support, we will have a reaction. There is a reaction here. There is another reaction, horizontal reaction. So these two are the external, not external. These two are the internal reactions developed at the support, which prevents the horizontal as well as the vertical translation of that point. Similarly, here there is a horizontal as well as vertical internal reactions developed, and also there is something to resist the rotation. We say there is a movement developed. So suppose if we are giving a clockwise rotation, maybe like there will be anti-clockwise rotation in order to resist that type of a rotation, and we call it as that is as a movement. And for a fixed support, as I have drawn here, fixed support will have only one vertical reaction developed there. There won't be any horizontal reaction because it allows the translation in horizontal direction, and also it allows the rotation. Then we will consider different types of loading. So we have like these are the main types of loading, that concentrated load or point load. Then concentrated or point load is just like the force is acting on a small area. Suppose we have a beam. This is our concentrated load or point load, like the load will be acting on a very small area. Then we have the uniformly distributed load. What does that mean? Like okay, this is our load P, which is the unit will be Newton. So uniformly distributed load means that the loads will be acting over a span of or a small width, small length of the beam. For example, like this one here. Suppose Q is the uniformly distributed load. We say that okay, Newton per meter. The unit will be Newton per meter. So in this, suppose it is the length. So the total force acting here will be QA. It is also represented by this symbol, like using downward arrows. Then uniformly varying load is the other type where the load intensity, okay, Q is called the load intensity, denoted with the unit of load per unit length. And for the third case, uniformly varying load, the load intensity will not be constant, it will be varying, just like a triangular or any other type. So this is our Q. Actually, Q is varying all over the region. So what can you say about the net force acting on this beam?
So integral Q dx.
Yes. So it is what it will be. It's, suppose if I say it is a triangular.
Area of triangle.
Area of the triangle. So this is A, this is B. Then it will be, sorry, the last one we call it as Q here usually. So it will be QA by 2. And this is, suppose this is our A. So it will be acting at A by 3. Last year, that center of mass, moment of inertia in that concept. Then general loading is nothing but concept like something like this. So there is load, like there is no fixed pattern. And external moment, you have a beam. At some moment there is at some point there is a moment, external moment acting on it, which causes some deformation. So then we now deal with the types of beam. We have different types of supports: pin support, roller support, fixed support, and hinged support. Like there are some more supports there. So a beam can have more. You should have minimum like one support. Okay, just a second. Yeah, a beam should have minimum one support, and we can like at this point, like, or we can have any type of supports in between the points or at the ends, like that. So using these different types of supports will result in different types of beams, and basically we will have, these are some of the types of beams: simply supported beam, cantilever beam, overhanging beam, propped cantilever, and continuous beam. Simply supported and cantilever I have just told in the initial part, so I will tell it again. In simply supported beam, you should have two supports. At the one part, it should be like a pin support. The other one, it should be like a roller support. So what happens here? there will be a external, there will be reactions developed at this point. Here, there will be only one reaction, that is in the vertical direction. So in cantilever beam, there is a beam where there is a fixed support at only one end. So overhanging beam is nothing but like a, as the word suggests, there is something which is overhanging there. So it can be like this. Then propped cantilever. Propped cantilever is something like there is a fixed support at one end. Then there is a pin support at other end. Then continuous beam, like minimum more than 2 supports are there. For example, like this. And so what are the specialties of these? This is type of loading, not type of beams. So what are the specialties of this type of beams? Actually, there is a concept called the statically indeterminate. Static determinacy. I will tell now. So in your last year, like you have studied about equilibrium equations. So what are the equilibrium equations you can consider in a beam?
So sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fy equal to 0, and then sigma m equal to 0.
Okay. Sigma fx is 0, sigma fy is 0, sigma m equal to 0. We didn't say about sigma fz equal to 0, but that is coming as a natural there. But we are considering only in plane bending now. Like we are considering the loads as well as the loads as well as the deflections are happening in xy plane only. We are not considering z, but we can consider that. But for this course, we will consider only in xy plane. And how does the sigma moment equal to 0 come in? You remember the principle of moments, right? Varignon's theorem. So what does that mean? Like for any point in a beam, if you consider, then you can say that at this point, these three conditions are satisfied. The summation of all the forces in vertical direction, horizontal direction, and also the summation of all the moments. Moment is calculated as the force multiplied by the distance from the point of concentration to the applied load. Like these are 0. So suppose this point is 0, then sigma moment about point A is 0. So basically, if a beam, you will get 3 equilibrium equations. Suppose if you have a linear system, Ax equal to B. So A is equal to B is like where A is a matrix, M by N, X is N cross 1, B is M by 1. So these x1, x2 up to xn are n unknowns. Then if you want to solve this type of a linear set of equations, so you need at least n equations. So what did I say here is, suppose if you have a beam here, and this beam, it has so many unknown external forces or reaction like this. There is some external force. Suppose there is a moment. For a beam like this, there is a fixed beam. So in order to solve all these unknown forces and moments, you need, actually there are 4 unknown forces here for this problem, 4 unknown quantities, 3 forces and 1 moment. but at the same time you are provided with three equations only, three equilibrium equations only. So you cannot solve this problem here. So that is what it is called statically indeterminate beam. The force and moment reactions. The force and moment reactions at the supports are more than number of equilibrium equations of statistics. So these extra reactions are called redundant, and it represents the degrees of indeterminacy. So in order to solve this problem, it's actually difficult using the solutions for determinate problems. Okay, so why did I tell all these things? Because when you consider the previous figure, the first the first three part, these are determinate beams. For example, in first figure, there are only three unknowns. In the second one, there will be again only three unknowns. In the third one, it will be this one. Oh, no. So not in the third one. There is something. Oh, okay. I just made a mistake. In the third one, I can consider. Third one is not actually. It is actually indeterminate beam. There is a moment also coming here. So it's actually indeterminate beam. Fourth and fifth one, they are indeterminate beam again. So overhanging beam, I can give you another example. If we replace the fixed support here with a pin support, then that is also an example for an overhanging beam. So what I mean here is, I am just replacing the fixed support here with a pin support. Then it is a overhanging beam and it is subjected to this type of reactions. And so this is a determinate beam. So in this course, mainly you will be dealing with three type of beams. The first one, the simply supported beam, then this type of a cantilever beam, and this type of a overhanging beam. And this one, and this propped cantilever and continuous beams, you will be dealing in your next semester in the course analysis of indeterminate structures. Here you will be dealing with determinate structures only. So in determinate structure, the force and moment, for equilibrium equations available with you as well as the unknown quantities will be same. Mainly it will be 3. And in indeterminate beam, like the unknown equations which you need to find, it will be more. So you need to bring some other conditions like called compatibility conditions, etc. to solve that problem. Anyway, you are not going to deal that indeterminate beams in this semester or in this course. So this is another example which I want to bring out. Again, this is just like a brush up of your previous semester. Okay, this is a simply supported beam. There are 2 point loads acting here, 20 kilonewton and 40 kilonewton. I want you to calculate the reaction at the supports. Two meter, 3 meter, and 4 meter. So this is a very simple problem. So okay, maybe I will write it here, and next question I can ask some more. So first thing you have to draw here is you have to draw a free body diagram. So in the free body diagram, this is point A, this is okay. So at this point there will be 2 reactions, that RA and this HA, there is RB. So when you take sigma fx equal to 0, sigma Fy equal to 0, which implies that Ha equal to 0. This implies that Ra plus Rb equal to 60. Now you take a sigma about point A, sigma mi equal to 0. That will give you as Rb into 9, 4, 5, 9 equal to 40 into 5, which implies Rb equal to 240 by 9, something like 26.7 kilonewton. And from that you can calculate, from this equation you can calculate Ra. Ra is coming as 33.3. No. Yeah. Okay. I hope that is okay. Anyone got any doubts with that? Hello.
No, sir.
Then we can move to the other one. Yeah. Okay. I need to mark the distance also. Okay. So can someone solve this problem? Harish Kumar, are you here? Harish Kumar? Nasir Ahmad?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So,
Harish Kumar, right?
yes, sir.
Yeah. So can you find the okay? Can calculate the reactions at the support?
Yes, sir. One second, sir.
I will call one more name. Kandesh Kumar, are you here? No. Logesh P?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I will draw one more figure. You try to solve this problem also parallelly.
Okay.
On the right side, I am drawing another one. Harish, did you solve this problem?
Doing, sir. Sir, is RA 34 kilonewton?
RA 34.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then
Is it?
how did you get 34 here?
So I took sigma MA equals 0.
Okay, then
20 into 2, 12 into 1, 10 into 1, and I took 16 as. Oh no, sorry. No sir.
Kandesh, this other guy here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So do you solve the second question?
Sir, PPT is not visible, sir.
Or your PPT is not visible?
Sir, for a long time, PPT is not visible. I think my net connection is poor, sir.
Oh, okay. Fine. Okay, so who was the other person? Who can solve the second question?
Sir, you told me, sir.
Lokesh. Okay.
Wait, sir.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
minute, sir.
Actually, we are running out of time.
Sir, for the moment, what is the sign convention, sir?
No, here you don't need to take any particular sign convention as of now. Like whatever things you are assuming, suppose if you take, okay, for this problem, if you take, 1 second, if you take like this, then the final answer is coming as negative, which means that the actual value will be like this. Okay, what I mean is, suppose RI you assume this sign convention, RI is positive. So finally, suppose the value you are getting as minus 100 kilonewton. So it means that okay, the whatever choose which you have initially chosen is not the right one. The final value will be like this only, 100 kilonewton. Okay, I understood what you are asking. You are asking with respect to, for example, like okay, the moment clockwise movement, sorry, an anti-clockwise movement can be considered as positive. Positive x direction, positive y direction. That like this is again positive. The forces in x direction is positive. The y direction is also positive. Is that what you asked me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, RB is equal to minus 67.5, sir.
RB equal to?
Minus 67.5, sir. RA is equal to 132.5, sir.
Oh, no. Which question you are solving? The first part or second one?
Second one, sir.
Second one. Okay. This is A. This is B. RA you are getting us. Can you repeat it?
RA 132.5, sir. RA, RB minus 67.5, sir.
It is wrong actually.
So 3.92
Sir,
and
RB is coming at
61.07.
61.07.
Yes.
Sir, RA is
And
coming
RA
as
is coming 3.9.
3.92.
RA is coming as 3.93. Yes, correct.
Yes, sir.
And RB is coming as 61. Yes, 61.0.
61.07.
So Lokesh, you just check it out whether how did you get wrong. Basically, in the free body diagram, this is for the second question I am saying. You will be this is RA, this is RB. There is a horizontal reaction at A. This is 20 kilonewton. Then here it will be like 15 into 3, 45 kilonewton. And these are acting at this is our 4 meter. This is our 2 meter. Then this is 1.5. This is 1.5. So RA plus RB will be 45 plus 20. That is 65. And then you take sigma about point A equal to 0. This is our point A. And to Harish Kumar, did you solve the first part? Harish, are you there? I think it's gone. Anyway, so in this problem, RA is coming as 74 kilonewton. Sigma MA equal to 0. But at the same time, there is a, because it is a fixed support, there is a moment at point A that is coming as 148 kilonewton meter. That you can solve, I think. So we'll move to the next slide. So as I said, when a beam, we have a beam that is loaded by external forces as well as the couples, I mean the moment. So like these forces can be like inclined or, okay, I will just consider a beam here. So this is some P, this is some Q, there is some moment or the which we call a couple here. Then the stresses and strains are created throughout the interior of the beam. So to determine these stresses and strains, we have to first find the internal forces as well as the internal moment developed at any cross section. Suppose if this beam AB, I'm just taking it here. At this point, there is some, because of the loads, external load P and Q and external moment M, at any point in between the end points A and B, it will be subjected to some sort of a moment as well as some sort of a internal forces, etc. So it can be, okay, I can consider it there is a moment developed inside this beam, not this may not be M. There will be like at this point there will be like a shear force developed here. Even there will be like a axial forces. So these are the internal forces developed at any point inside a beam because of the application of the external forces as well as movement. Now we need to find these internal forces developed, and we should ensure that these internal forces as well as the moment developed are not exceeding the permissible value of that structure. Suppose if I am using steel as a material for constructing this beam, and steel is there is a permissible bending moment or permissible value for values for the stresses, the maximum for example, we know like there is a permissible value for the stress, like we studied about the working stress and all. So we should ensure that these permissible values are not exceeded any time. So we need to find the internal forces developed in these things. So that's why we are studying the shear force as well as the bending moment diagram. So we consider a cross section here. So in general, if we take a cross section like this cross section will be subjected to, there is an axial force, there is a shear force, there is a bending moment. Okay, so this axial force may be denoted by N, there is a shear force here, then there is a bending moment M. Axial force, this is shear force, this is our bending moment. Okay. So what does this really mean? Okay. So I have a beam AB, maybe like a, okay. You don't need to think about the support now, just take any beam with any supports. We are just focusing on the cross section part. So this is our point C. So at point C, we're just splitting into two parts now. There is at any point C, there is a moment, and so we have to again understand that the beam is equilibrium, like the overall condition of the beam is in equilibrium. So whatever internal thing which if you assume here, there will be a counteracting force. For example, like if you take a section here, then if we consider this part AC and this is CB, we assume that there is a axial force, there is a shear force, there is again bending moment. Then since the beam is in equilibrium, we assume that there is an opposite force developed here that is coming like this. Okay. Now I want to bring the sign convention again for this type of while dealing with shear force diagram. This rectangular element is this rectangular figure which I am showing here. It is just a small element which is subjected to some sort of a moment and axial force and shear force. So this is said to be in positive if in this condition. And the similar concept for a negative sign convention will be this will be downward. Okay. So basically, these two you have already, it coincided with our earlier sign convention. This quantity in the okay, this is negative. So in the positive sign convention, the axial force, if it is along the we have studied like that sigma x, tau xy, these are positive things. So this is similar thing. You don't need to worry about that. Like it is a sign convention. And bending moment, this is the new one which you are studying now. So you have to understand that if the bending moment is causing a positive, it is causing a sag. Suppose if there is a bending moment here, because of this type of a bending moment, what happens to the okay, I will show it here. You have a beam like this, and if you are provided with a bending moment like this, what happens to the figure or the beam? It just sags like this. Sagging is happening here. So sagging is considered as positive. But if you have a beam where this type of thing is acting, then it causes the beam to hog, the opposite of sag. So this is considered as negative. Okay, this just think about, visualize about a rod, and you are applying some sort of a forces in this direction with your hand. You are holding the rod and you are applying this type of a load, like you are trying to bend it. Okay, so you can visualize it that you are giving some sort of a force or turning moment which in this direction, then you will see that the rod is sagging, and if you apply the opposite type of a moment, it will make that rod to hog. So what does this mean here? So okay, in our classes we will take the positive sign convention only. So you forgot about the negative sign convention. This one you just forget. We will take only the positive sign convention, and if any of these values or any of the directions are coming opposite, we will use a minus sign. That's the thing. So this we are not using now. We are using the positive sign convention. So here, what does this mean? Like, consider this beam AB. We take a cross section at the point C, and at point C we can see that this type of a thing, this is matching with here. So you are looking at point C from the right hand side, and you can see that we assume that there are some internal forces or internal moment developed there, and we assume a positive sign convention. So we will put like this. And for the next part CB, we will look it from this side, from the left hand side. So we will give a sign convention like the vertical acting downwards, similar to this, vertical acting downwards. The axial force is towards the left side, and the bending moment is to clockwise direction. Whereas for this one, here it is in anti-clockwise direction like this. Axial force and the shear force in positive x direction and y direction. So this is our positive sign convention. Like if you are taking a section at point C, and we assume that there are some axial forces and bending moments internally developed there, and if we say that we are following a positive sign convention, then we have to mark the axial forces, shear force, as well as the bending moment developed at point C in this direction. And if you are following a negative sign convention, you have to take like this, one which I have shown in this one. But we follow the positive sign convention. Now the last. Okay, this one. Okay, I will tell in detail in the next class. So what we are trying to do here is we will try to find out what is the shear force. Like we have a beam like this AB. At point C we take a cross section. So we have a cross section like AC. At this point C, we know that there is a shear force, there is a axial force, there is a bending moment. We will try to figure out what is this V here. So algebraic sum of the vertical forces at any section of the beam to the right or left of the section is taken as the shear force. Similarly, all the horizontal forces at any section of the beam to the right or left of the beam is taken as the shear force. That is, this is V, this is our N, and this is our bending moment M. The algebraic sum of the moments of all the forces acting to the right or left of the section is taken as bending moment. So it doesn't matter we are taking, the section which you are taking is either to the left or the right, AC or the section CB, but still whatever quantities it is coming there, we are trying to figure out what are the net shear force acting at a section or net axial force or net bending moment. Then I will show it in a detailed way in the next class with a problem. So we will wind up now. I will take attendance. Yeah, attendance taken. So anyone got any doubts?
Sir,
Yeah.
I have seen the assignments.
Assignments? Oh, you messaged me, right? Okay, I will look back to it. And
In question number 5, length of the bar is given 2 different values, sir.
I will check it. Maybe
Okay.
this time 11:30, no? So other process might be waiting there. I will check it and I will reply to you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.